Hey everyone, what's up? It's your boy BQ checking in from my hiatus from the cell phone. So if you're not already aware, I'm on hiatus for several months while I'm in the middle of my move. I'll be checking in with my random thoughts from my phone. And, we'll get things cracking once again once I complete my move. So we're going to talk Steve Macklin here real quick. And I got to throw this out there first of all. I have not seen Against All Odds yet. I'm recording this Sunday morning. I have not seen it yet. I'm aware of some of the results. I've stayed in the dark for the majority of them, just so it's somewhat fresh to me. But I have not seen this match, Steve Macklin versus Alex Shelley. But it's getting a lot of talk on the internet. And as I weigh in with my thoughts here, just keep that in mind. I don't know how the finish went. I don't know how it played out. I don't have a clue in hell. I just I see the conversations on the Impact Lounge engagement group on Facebook, and as well as Twitter. So, needless to say, I'm pretty upset about it. I can be critical of wrestling and critical of Impact, but usually results, rather than me just wanting to watch a good wrestling show, the results don't usually piss me off. The only one that ever really did with Impact was when Rich Swann lost to Kenny Omega, which we knew he was going to lose, but it was just the manner that he lost, the manner that the whole feud was booked, angered me quite a bit. And I'm in that ballpark right now, Steve Macklin losing the title, and my initial thought was, okay, they're going to make this a triple threat. I've never been under the impression Impact had a lot of confidence in him as the champion, which I think is bullshit if that's the case. Because oftentimes he would appear in the middle of the show. He wasn't really main eventing the show. And it makes me wonder if he was supposed to beat Josh Alexander at, I guess it was Rebellion. Was that the pay-per-view? It makes me wonder if he was supposed to win. We all assumed he was going to win. He was going to beat Josh. But dropping the title this quickly makes me feel like maybe he wasn't supposed to. Because that's one thing we've seen from Impact over the years, is that they stick to the script. They stick to the plan. We don't see a lot of audibles. At least we don't, from a fan standpoint. We're obviously not behind the scenes. We have no clue what's going on in creative. But it seems like they stick to the plan. I often use the example of Rich Swann winning the world title. It was clear they were going that direction. He got hurt. He comes back from his injury, and they just throw him right back where he left off. But he lost what he had built organically prior to his injury. So then when he ultimately did win the title, it came off a little flat, and the people weren't really into it. So there are a few examples of this. But Macklin has dropped the belt. Nobody saw this coming. And, if they're going for the shock factor, they delivered. I say it all the time. There's such little shock factor in but in wrestling, to where we usually know who's going to win a match. We don't just get that shock finish like, holy shit, this guy beat this guy, this girl beat this guy. That just doesn't happen. And it happened here, probably in a spot that I really think most people didn't want it to. And as I said a second ago, my initial thought was that this was going to be a triple threat. They didn't trust Macklin. We got to throw someone else in there in the main event. Chances are Rebellion's pay-per-views it was not a great card. Rebellion was not a good card. I shouldn't say it wasn't a good card. It wasn't a great pay-per-view card, in my opinion. And maybe it didn't do the buys they were hoping it would. Maybe they blamed it on Steve Macklin. I don't know. I hope that's not the case, because they have something special in him. And his pairing with Bully Ray, this looks special. When Eddie Edwards was forming Honor No More and they got old really quick, I had said, when Eddie joined Honor No More, we should have been tuning in every week to see what is Eddie going to do this week. we turned in the first time, like, why did, the Why Eddie Why episode. And then after that, it was really, really cookie cutter. They lost a bunch of matches. And that's what I always said back then. We should be tuning in. What is Honor No More going to do this week? Kind of like the Shield and the Nexus in the WWE back in the day. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but there was a degree of tuning in because they were going to do something wild every episode. And they didn't do that with Honor No More. I felt that with this Bully Ray and Steve Macklin pairing, that we were going to go that direction. Like, they were going to be a reason to tune in just to see what the two of them did. Because it's really rare that you team up two wrestlers who are kind of at the top of the card. You can team up, hey, so-and-so, we're a tag team. Like Moose with Brian Myers. Someone at the top of the card with someone in the middle of the card. There's rarely people that are, for lack of a better term, kind of seen as equals when they form teams and form tag teams and partnerships. You could say Moose and Morrissey kind of fell into that category, but it's just kind of rare. So, I was like, whoa, I want to see what these guys do. They're beefing with Scott D'Amore. They're beefing with the guy who runs the company. The best way to do that is to be on top. So we get the win here by Alex Shelley. I was pretty sure Chris Sabin was winning the X Division Championship. I was confident in that. But Alex Shelley, I kind of wanted to see Alex Shelley get a title run at some point. I think a heel Alex Shelley would be really, really good. But my concern is that Slammiversary is coming up, and they are resting on the TNA laurels, the history of TNA, and going back to, these guys were here from the beginning. And I didn't really think of that until Frankie Kazarian joined him in the ring. And then I'm like, here we go. It's Slammiversary is going to be about TNA. They got the 1000th episode or whatever it is coming up. They're going to make things about TNA. And that's where we're at. And then they announced, because I saw the graphic, unless it was fan-made, that it's just Alex Shelley versus Nick Aldis. We all knew Nick Aldis was winning. All of us. There was nothing was up for the imagination there. Like, we knew exactly how that was going to play out. But then we just assumed it was, Steve Macklin, and I think people wanted to see that. I don't know that people are like, hey, I want to go see this. Now, there's the people who love the TNA. There's the people who love Impact no matter what they put on. Santino could be in the main event, and they'll say, oh, stop sleeping on Impact. Y'all are some haters. There's that group, too. But the realistic wrestling fans, I don't know that this is it. For Slammiversary? Maybe for, No Surrender or something like that. But I'm pretty upset about it without having a lot of context, because I haven't seen the match, without any assumptions of where they may go creatively. I mean, they threw us a curveball. Congrats. I've wanted to see more curveballs. But not this one. Definitely not this one. Now, did I want Macklin to have, a year-long title reign, all that shit? Not necessarily, but I think he deserved a good run with the belt. You can only be the champion, a first-time champion, once. And that's your time to really establish yourself. And I thought the pairing with Bully Ray was starting to establish him as a top guy. Because when they had him with Champagne Singh and Shira, I was like, this isn't really clicking for me. Now you add Bully Ray, and now it's like, okay, this guy's at the top of the card. He's still going to be firmly at the top of the card, but all that year-long build of trying to get to the world title and get a title shot and gets it and wins and then drops it 2 months later. He had the great match with PCO. That really started cementing him as that dude. And when he won the title, I said, I want to see these episodes of Impact be the Steve Macklin era, and they haven't been, because he doesn't main event the show, doesn't really kick off the show. He might have won once or twice, but he was in the middle of the card, and they probably had him at the top of the hour, so they consider that a prominent spot as well. But all these episodes since he's won the world title have been very knockouts heavy, very knockouts dominated. They're making it the Trinity era. So I'm really not happy about this. I'm not excited. I haven't had someone I considered my favorite wrestler where I just, that they shit rainbows since like peak EC3. I've been a really big Moose and Rich Swann fan and a couple of these dudes, but Macklin is the dude over the last several years. I'm like, I am all in on this dude. And I was so happy. I finally got to meet him, which was great. I was so happy that he won the title. Now, do I think he's going to get buried and, wrestling in the X division and all that shit? No, absolutely not. He's still part of a big storyline. But it just doesn't work with Scott D'Amore when he's not the champ. It works if Scott's trying to get the title off him. And now it's just about revenge. It's about Scott hitting a Canadian destroyer again. So I'm pretty disappointed. And I know I don't speak for everybody because there's several of you who are excited about this. Now, before I sign off here, let's talk Motor City Machine Guns. They're both singles champions now. And again, we're going back to TNA. I'm sure Frankie Kazarian. I bet you Frankie Kazarian wrestles Chris Sabin for the X Division Championship at Slammiversary. But the Motor City Machine Guns, they're a tag team as singles. They both wear the same outfit. All the tag teams wear black in Impact, but they wear the same clothes, basically. They have the same theme song. If you are two separate champions, I want to see them. If you're going to do this now, Impact, and okay, well, Alex Shelley's our guy now. I want to see him on his next episode come out with his own theme song, a different look. Same with Chris Sabin. Chris Sabin's the X Division champion. If he wants to come out with Motor City Machine Gun song, that's fine. But at this point, I think you have to split them, do a soft split, to where these guys are singles wrestlers. They have their own identities as single stars. And then when they wrestle as a tag team, then they're the Motor City Machine Guns. And then they have the gear and they have the music. But if we get two of our prominent champions coming out wearing the same clothes to the same music, it's going to feel very Groundhog's Day on Impact. And every episode's going to feel exactly the same. You have to break it up a little. If you're going to do this, and Alex is your guy, you cannot start off the first episode of the Alex Shelley era with the Motor City Machine Guns theme song and the pants and all that shit. You can't. So leave your thoughts in the comments, folks. I'm your boy BQ. I'm out. Peace.